What's up guys, it's Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I want to show you guys Rocky Linux. So Rocky Linux is a brand new Linux distribution from the Rocky Linux community, and it's led by Gregory Kurtzer. And if you guys didn't know, he is the founder of the CentOS project. And this distribution basically came about after the news that CentOS stated that they'll be abandoning the CentOS 8 stable release. There are a couple different projects out there that are looking to take over what CentOS was providing, and Rocky Linux is one of the top contenders in my opinion. So I wanted to check out the latest version, which is 8.4. and just show you guys what it's all about. So let's head over to DistroWatch's page so we can check it out right fast. Okay, cool. So I am at DistroWatch's page, and all you have to do is search Rocky and it'll bring it up. Right now is number 67 on the popularity of the list of 100 distributions, which is kind of what I go by. But as it states on the page, it says Rocky Linux is a community enterprise operating system designed to be 100% bug compatible with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It is led by Gregory Kurtzer, like I stated earlier, and he is the founder of the CentOS project, and it is available for the x86_64 and AArch64 processor architecture. As you can see, it's kind of on the rise ever since it released. And then here is the link down here. If we can go to the home page, which I already have it up, but it's rockylinux.org. And so just to read a little more right here, it says community driven effort to bring you enterprise grade production ready Linux. And then it says, what is the Rocky Linux project? Rocky Linux community based, pretty much the exact same thing I stated from the DistroWatch page. But here are some of the frequently asked questions. It says the CentOS project recently announced a shift in strategy for CentOS, whereas previously CentOS existed as the downstream build of its upstream vendor. It receives patches and updates after the upstream vendor does. It will be shifting to an upstream build. So that's the whole issue right there. They're basically making CentOS an upstream build, meaning that it'll get the updates before Rail, when previously it used to get the updates after. And then it says additionally, support for CentOS Linux 8 has been cut short from May 31st 2029 to December 31st 2021. So everybody's been scrambling on what distribution they want to use in the place of CentOS, especially since support has been cut down to the end of this year. So right here it states, so where does Rocky Linux come from? Rocky Linux aims to function as a downstream build as CentOS had done previously, building release after they have been added to the upstream vendor, not before. So that should solve the issue that a lot of people were having a couple months ago. I remember it was a whole bunch of uproar. I seen a lot of content creators actually make videos on this topic, and I kind of waited around before I actually covered it until I saw what would be a good distribution for people to actually replace CentOS with. And like I stated, Rocky Linux seems like a perfect contender, or one of the top contenders, especially since it was created by one of the people that actually created the CentOS project to begin with. And then here are the sponsors. All these big companies, they sponsor this actual project. So in my opinion, they're going in the right direction. Okay, so let me go on and show you guys how to download it right fast. You just simply hit the download button, and what I typically do, or what I've done, I've downloaded all of these just to see what comes with it. There's a minimal ISO, the DVD version that pretty much has everything, and I recommend you download that if you want a GUI. So download the DVD version. I know it's kind of big, it's about close to 10 gigabytes, which is fine if you're installing it on a virtual machine. or if you want to write it to a USB, you get to go. But if you still have a DVD around, it won't really work for you. It won't really help you. But that's the one you want to download. That's the one I'm gonna go through today. And like I stated, we can go to the news page, but as you can see, Rocky Linux 8.4 GA available now, and this was June 21st, so about a month ago was when this was released. So let's go on and go through the install and show you guys how to actually get this thing set up. Okay, cool. So I have my virtual machine spun up. This is Rocky Linux. This is the first thing you actually see when you boot up the ISO. As you can see, you have three options here. The first one is install Rocky Linux, and sorry that is kind of small, but it'll get bigger once I bring up the installation page. But install Rocky Linux 8, which is what I want to do, and then you could test this media and install Rocky Linux 8 right there. And then there is troubleshooting. It may not have anything under that. Let me see right fast. Okay, so they do have some other options in here. I remember when I last installed this, because I installed this I would say last month sometime, and they didn't have any options under there. But as you can see, they've added that to the new ISO. It says install Rocky Linux 8 in basic graphic mode, and then rescue a Rocky Linux system, run a memory test, and then boot from local drive if you already have something on it. And then this is just basically returning to that main menu, which is where we want to go, because I want to choose the first option, which is install Rocky Linux. So let's go through the install right fast. And let's just wait for this thing to pop up. And just so you guys know, I gave this virtual machine 2 processing cores. I also gave it 8 gigabytes of memory, which is kind of overkill, especially running on this server like this. I really don't need that much, but I just went on and set it up that way, so it'll have enough in case it needs it. Okay, cool. So the first thing that'll pop up, it basically says welcome to Rocky Linux 8, and this is just where you select your language. So if you're in a different country, or speak a different language, just go and select that. But I'm in the US, so English US is what I want to select. Let's hit continue. Boom. And if you guys have ever installed CentOS, it's pretty much the exact same thing. It's very simple. The whole process and the installation process, is just made very simple, and I'm glad that they kind of followed that same way that it is to install CentOS as well as Rail. Now the localization is already pretty much set up, and I'm gonna just go through each one of these sections just to read everything for you guys, so you guys can get an understanding of how to actually do it, because I know it's some people out there that have never installed Linux before, and that's why I always break things down to a very basic level so those people won't get lost or left behind. And the first thing right here is what we already selected, keyboard and language. But one thing I want to change is my date and time. So I'm gonna click on that. I'm in LA. That's the right date and everything. So let's just hit done. Good to go. Los Angeles. So we on the West Coast. And then installation source, which it'll come from the media. You don't want to change that. But then software selection, I just wanted to go through this. I'm not gonna install any extra software on this install because I don't need it. I'm just basically showing it to you guys so you guys can see the server with a GUI, because I know some people is kind of intimidated by the command line. So there is a server environment with a GUI, and it uses the default is GNOME. So it has a GNOME desktop environment, very simple to use, but you can set it up just like a server. And just to show you guys, once you select this, you good. It's going to install the server, the base server, and a GUI on top of it. So you can install whatever you want from there. You can also, choose the server environment, the minimal install workstation if you want to set up a workstation, custom operating system. You can go through and change it however you want to, and then a virtualization host, which is a minimal virtualization host right there. And then here is the additional software, and I'm not 100% sure if it changes. Yeah, it changes. So if you want, depending on the base environment that you select, it changed the additional software over here. Now, like I stated, I'm not going to install any of this stuff. There's no need for me to do it, but they do have a lot of things in here like Windows file server, debugging tools, file storage server, FTP server, you know, pretty much everything you would need to set up a server, you know, from jump. It'll go on and install and set up the actual software. And then you can go in and configure it once you have the server up and running. Like for instance, you can set up a basic web server. There you go. These tools allow you to run a web server on the system. So there you go. And then like I stated, it'll kind of change up depending on what base environment you select. But like I stated, we're gonna go with the server with a GUI. So let's hit done. So we're good to go. Now we have to select the installation destination. This is basically partitioning the drives and all that stuff. And it's pretty much all automatic. And one thing I noticed when you click on this, it doesn't automatically select it. You just have to hit it again. I've seen people, I've watched someone actually install this and it was like, why is it not showing the rest of, you have to click it twice. So just click it twice and it'll select it. It'll put the check mark there and then open up the storage configuration. And what we want to do is automatic. You can do custom. And then there's a checkbox that says I would like to make additional space available, and that's pretty much under custom. And then you can also encrypt your data, but we're going to use the full hard drive. You know, I'm not going to mess with any of the storage configurations there. Let's just hit done and move on to the next step. And then it'll take a second, but it's selected. Everything that we selected is good to go. K-dump, I'm not sure what this is. I think this has something to do with memory. Yeah, memory reservation. So K-dump is a kernel crash dumping mechanism. So you can set that up if you want to. It's enabled by default, which is fine. And then right here is the networking. Now if you don't turn this on, you're gonna be stuck without any internet. So just want to let you guys know, I've seen people do it. You know, they do the install, they forget to turn on the Ethernet and let it connect and get an IP address, or, you know, change the host name if need be. And then you have to go in and change it after the fact. But I'm not going to change the host name. I'm just leave it localhost.local domain. That's fine. Whatever. You can change it to whatever you want to. Actually, let's go down and change it. I'm going to change it to Rocky. We'll just change it to Rocky and hit apply and we're good to go. So let's hit done, and now we have that set up. So our networking is working. Now this is the security policy, and they have different ones that you can select in here. Now to be honest, I don't understand all of these policies. You can click on them or go to the links and check them out for yourself. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know them, but they do have some security policies in here that you can go through and select. So you can select that profile and you're good to go. Now let's hit done there because we're not gonna make any selections under there. But the last thing is basically putting a password under your root account. So we're gonna do that, and then also I want to create a user account as well that's different from root. So I'm gonna do that, user creation, go ahead and create me an account, which is I always recommend. You don't want to use, you know, a root account, and then if you hit make this user administrator, it'll basically give them pseudo privileges, that account, and you're not working in the environment as a root user. Now there is some advanced settings. Let's see what's under there. As you can see, you can specify the user and group ID if you want to change that up, and then as you can see, this person is added to the wheel group, and that'll give them pseudo privileges. So I'm gonna just hit cancel because that's exactly what it's gonna do. So we can hit done, and now we're ready to install. So I'll be back when this thing actually completes. Boom. Okay, cool. So we are back. The installation is done, and the last thing you really need to do is reboot the system at this point. But there is a couple other things we have to do, like this product is subject to the license agreement found at /user share Rocky release EULA, and we'll see that and be able to accept that once we reboot the system. It'll come up, you log in, and there's a couple last configurations that happen, and I'll show you guys that when we actually bring it up. So I'll skip ahead till we get to the login screen. Alright, cool. So here we go. This is the license agreement. So basically all you have to do is click on it. It'll bring up the EULA. All you have to do is hit accept and done, and we are good to go. So hit finish configuration, and it'll finish configuring your server. Now the rest of it is pretty much GNOME configuration, so let's log into it. I'll show you guys that when we actually get into it, but it'll pop up with some kind of GNOME configurations at the beginning. As you can see, this is, you're setting the language again, so just hit next there. And then right now it's, it's already set to English US. Hit next there. And then the privacy settings, I always turn that off, or whatever. Location services, I don't need that for a server. As well as connect your online accounts, never do that. I mean, you can if you want to. It'll help you out if you use the GNOME desktop environment, but if you're running this thing as a server, I wouldn't connect it to any online accounts. So there we go. So start using Rocky Linux, good to go. And then it'll pop up with this getting started right here, and I'll go on and fix the display in a second, but I just wanted to at least show you guys that they have a couple videos. It walks through the launcher, the switch tasks, and use Windows and workspace, and then also common tasks like browse the web, connect to online accounts, get online, change date time, use system search, launch applications, change wallpapers, use Windows and workspace, switch tasks. So you can go there, and this is all like GNOME help. This is just information on how to actually use GNOME, and you can click on the about, which I'll just go down and click on it right fast. And it says Creative Commons. This work is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 3.0 Unported license. So that's just some more information on the about me. Now let's go down and close this right fast. That shouldn't pop up ever again once you have a system set up, but this is pretty much a GNOME desktop environment. If you use GNOME, then you understand how to actually use it. Like for instance, let's right click on the desktop and go into the display settings, and what I'm gonna do is change up my resolution so it'll look right on the screen. Let's hit apply, boom, keep changes, there we go. All right, cool. So we got our display settings set up. We can go down and close this. I'll go to the settings in a couple seconds. I just wanted to kind of show you guys how to actually use the system if you're unfamiliar with GNOME. So if you click the little down arrow right there, that'll actually bring up the volume controls, the internet controls or wireless connection, or it'll be wireless or wired connection settings. So you can go in there, turn that on, turn it off. They do have the settings in there, and you can also click on here. They have some account settings. Log out, you can log out of this server, and then let's minimize that, but this will take you straight to the settings, which we were just in for changing the display settings. But I'm gonna close it again. Let's go back up here to the top though and hit it one more time. And just to show you guys, there is a lock button and the power button. So if you hit that, that'll actually shut down the system. So you got power off, restart, cancel, and boom. And then right here in the middle, you got your date and time. You know what I'm saying? It's good to go. If you click on it, it'll bring up the tasks, or the notifications. If you have any notifications, like if you need some updates to the system, they'll show up here. And then you have your calendar right there, good to go. Now under here is activities, well, what they call activities, and that'll basically bring up the sidebar, and there is a search. So you can search for whatever application in there, like let's say Firefox. You want to go to Firefox, and then depending on whatever you type, it brings in things that have those letters in it. So super cool. You know what I'm saying? So the firewall right there, that's because I hadn't typed the Firefox, you know what I'm saying, and then it filters as you type. So super cool. But by default it comes with Firefox. That's the default browser. You have your file explorer, you know what I'm saying, you good to go with that. This is how you, it's the GNOME file explorer. You have all your folders already created for you. As you can see right there, that's just the installation media I left on the system. I'm gonna close that. But there is Software Center, so I'm going to go down and open that up, just show you guys this. Very simple to use. You can go through and install all your applications through here. You can even do all the updates from here, but this is, I just want to show you guys the version. It says 3.36.1, a nice way to manage the software on the system. Boom. They have it categorized. You can go through and find whatever applications you need, and then if you click on install, that'll show you everything that's installed on the system, which is basically a lot of default software that you would find on most GNOME desktops, you know, like the basics. Then you have your updates, so you can check for updates. Just hit this little button right here. It'll look for updates, and it might find some updates because I'm not sure when this ISO was last updated, and it looks like it's good because I think it does updates during the installation. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it does though. So let's go down and close that. That's why we don't have any updates. But right here is the help, so you can go there. That'll give you all the GNOME help that you need in order to understand how to actually use the operating system. So boom, I'm gonna close that, and then right here is the terminal, the good old terminal. Now let's go down and run a uname right fast. -r, and right now the current kernel is 4.18, so got the most up-to-date kernel that they have on here. And then we can go into the settings, but this will show us all our applications. Right now it's on all, so that's pretty much all the applications. You can click in here, that'll take you to the utilities. You got system monitoring, you know, image viewer, logs, screenshot tool, disk usage calculator, you know, document viewer. Let's go back to the top, but boxes, so GNOME boxes is on here by default. Cheese, you know, file, settings, software, and that's basically what I want to go to next, which is the settings. And as you can see, I can either go to it, you know, via the desktop, you know, by hitting settings. That'll take you to the main settings page. And one cool thing about it though, it remembers where you were last, and the last place we were was under the display settings, so it automatically took us back to where that was, or where we were the last time we were in the settings. But you got your Wi-Fi settings. We don't have a Wi-Fi adapter, no Bluetooth adapter as well. But background, so you can go through and change up your background, you know, make it look however you want it to look, with the different backgrounds that comes pre-installed. No pictures on here. They have color, you can play around with that, but it's very basic. You know, you basically have the basic setup, you know, no crazy backgrounds on the system, because most people are going to use this thing, or they're marketing this thing as a replacement for a CentOS server, because a lot of companies, small businesses, they still use CentOS in order to have the next best thing to Rail. So Rocky Linux is pushing for the distribution to be on that level, which is simple and works. Now let's go to notifications. So you got the notifications right there. Search. This allows you to search region, language, universal access. So this is, you know, some options in there. And like I stated, if you've used GNOME, very simple to use. It's not that difficult of a desktop environment to pick up and actually get to, you know, running. But you have your sharing settings, sound, power, networking, devices, like this display settings, keyboard, mouse, touchpad, printers, set up your printers, Thunderbolt, Wacom tablet, color, boom. And then you got your power settings. I don't know if I hit that up. Yeah, power settings, but details right here. So about, and as you can see, this is Rocky 8.4. The device name is Rocky. The amount of memory that we have, the processor, I gave it 2 cores, And the graphics, GNOME version 3.32.2, and the OS type is 64-bit, and virtualization KVM, and the disk size, disk information. Now you can go in here and check out the date time settings, change it up if you need to. Then the users, you can manage your users there, and default applications. So you set all those default applications. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys about Rocky OS. Like I stated, it is a heavy contender to replace CentOS as that downstream distribution from Red Hat. So go on and check it out for yourself. See if it will be a good replacement for your current CentOS server if you have one set up. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave comments down in the comment boxes below. And of course, keep it techie.